Dr. Run Sleep, and today we are here with a running related video. Today I want to talk about the evolution of the running shoes that I used through the years. I started running in 2021 after a breakup. I'm not going to expand on that. 2021 was the year I started long distance. So before 2021, I had this pair of Kalenji shoes. Kalenji is basically one of those brands that you find at Decathlon. When I was 15 years old, I did parkour. And I remember these Kalenji shoes were very used by pretty much a lot of people in my parkour team because they were very, very cheap and they had good grip. It goes without saying that I would get injured just by looking at something like that right now. And I use them actually for running and any kind of sport related activity for years until 2021. So in 2021, I bought these shoes, my first pair of Brooks, and they had guardrail. Unfortunately, I don't have the exact name of the shoe. I'm just gonna do some research and maybe add the name somewhere here. The thing is, I tend to pronate very much, so the guy at the shop recommended me these shoes because he said they're gonna help you, give you some more stability, and that's true. Brooks has this guardrail system. It's their own stability technology, which basically doesn't really impact on your landing, creates as the name suggests, a rail for your foot. People who tend to supinate or pronate too much, they're kinda brought back on track by this technology by Brooks. So that was my first pair of shoes. I used them for over a year. The color was pretty hardcore actually, but pretty good experience. Fast forward, the next pair of shoes was a pair of Brooks Ghost. I used them for pretty much anything: hiking, working, running on the snow, anything, running related and non-running related. I used them really until they had holes in them. And when the moment to change shoes came, I went to one of the many shops, running shops here in Berlin, and I went for some Mizuno Waist Rider. A good daily trainer. I don't remember anything particular about the shoe. It got me through over a year of training, so yeah. And here I would like to make a point. I have a 48 in terms of running size. It's always been pretty hard to find shoes at any sort of running shop. They either tell me that they can order the shoe or they don't even tell me anything, because if the shoe doesn't fit me, they have no way to sell it. So it's always been kind of a struggle for me to find the right size. I'm gonna add something about these and Brooks, but later. So I used the Mizuno Wave Rider straight after the Ghost until the end of 2022 and in the first few months of 2023. So now, first big turning point. Until now, I only ever had one pair of running shoes at a time. Now, for the first time in 2023, I bought my second pair of shoes. So the thing is, in April 2023, I ran my first half marathon ever, the Berlin Half Marathon. I realized that there are actually fast shoes and slow shoes. Maybe social media kind of got me more into the running world, but yeah. The thing is, I went to the shop, one of the shops here in Berlin, and I got myself a pair of Hyperion Tempo. I remember the choice was between some kind of Puma, Deviate something, no carbon, and the Hyperion Tempo, and I went for the Hyperion Tempo. Brooks, again. If I use the Ghost for anything non-running related, I use the Hyperion Tempo for everything running related. 10Ks, 5Ks, park runs. I use them for a half marathon. I use them for my first marathon. I even use them for a trail run. The only thing I have to say about the Hyperion Tempo, and that was my only pair of Hyperion Tempo ever, it's kind of one of those relationships that you get to appreciate only after they're ended. I don't really have good running form. I tend to overpronate. I'm a heel striker as well. So when I used them for my first marathon ever, the Copenhagen Marathon 2023, I just kind of lacked some amount of support maybe in the later stages of the race. And some of you might argue that that's due to maybe weakness in my muscles, ankles, and that's probably the reason. but it was not the perfect shoe for me at the time. That's it. So after I ran Copenhagen, I signed up for a marathon 3 or 4 months later, the Oslo Marathon 2023. I started looking at shoes with more foam, and that's when I came across the Brooks Hyperion Max 1. The Brooks Hyperion Max is basically the big sister of what was the Brooks Hyperion Tempo first, and then the Brooks Hyperion later. Brooks Hyperion Max is a fast trainer with some extra foam, just like some Max versions which started to come out in the last 2 years. So you got the Ghost Max, you got the Glycerin Max. I used the Brooks Hyperion Max 1 for Oslo 2023. They were pretty good. They were fast, they were light. Of course, I hit the wall. Maybe I should start making videos about hitting the wall. I'm still a junior wall hitter, but I'm getting to a senior position maybe. But back to the Brooks Hyperion Max, great shoe. Yeah, so Oslo 2023 was in September. December 2023, I joined my first running club ever here in Berlin, the Berlin Braves. I started getting more gear. So if I had the Glycerin for daily training, I got myself a pair of Boston in February 2024 for some faster training. They're very cool shoes, they're very light, very fast as well. But just like the Adios Pro 3, which I'm gonna talk about in a moment, I just love them for hundreds of kilometers, but then at some point, it just got painful. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but at some point it just gets painful. Mixed feelings about the Boston 12. So now we're about in March 2024. The Barcelona Marathon is approaching and I'm gonna try to go for the first time sub 3 hours in the marathon. And the cool thing is I won a pair of On Cloudboom Eco 3 because when you sign up there is a lottery and I was very lucky. I think I will never get this lucky again. I got these 300 euros shoes for free. Pretty cool. It is stated on the box when you buy them that they can only last for marathons, and indeed they've fallen apart. They're pretty worn out. They're not gonna last much more, but I still use them on track. But yeah, I ran Barcelona 2024, first time sub 3 hours. I really enjoyed this shoe. Yeah, probably On is gonna be my go-to race shoe because I just really love the quality. After hundreds of Ks, they're still not painful as the Boston. I don't know what to say. Flash forward to fall season, so October 2024. Same years as Barcelona, but I decided not to use the On for the Venice Marathon 2024, and I bought myself a pair of super discounted Adios Pro 3. Of course, I had read and heard very good stuff about the Adios Pro 3. Very fast, very responsive, as some of you might know. I did 2 marathons, long runs, no more than one. Did a couple of 30K races. One of them was a trail run actually, worst choice ever. I might have reached maybe 300 kilometers, but not more than that. They're very painful, just like the Boston. Maybe I have a problem, but other shoes, no problem. This shoe, problem. Anyways, even though I had the fastest shoes on the market for Venice Marathon 2024, that was my slowest marathon. I walked for 13-14 kilometers, couldn't run anymore. My lungs were burning. At the end of the year, still fresh of this awful memory, I decided to join a friend in Barcelona, Spain, and run a 24K trail run. So I got myself finally a pair of trail shoes. So I think there is no more legendary shoe than this, the Brooks Cascadia. Between Venice Marathon and this trail run, the Colserola, I was working on set full time, 12 hours a day. I really did minimal running. I have no elevation in my legs, but yeah, the Cascadia did an amazing job and I got through the race. And after the race, I used the Cascadia for pretty much anything. Easy runs on pavements, easy runs on trails, hiking, a bunch of 20K runs. I went on a couple of weeks trip to Japan and I only had another pair of shoes and the Cascadia. So really like my go-to shoe ever since I bought them. Again, just like the Ghost, but with a bit more of protection, I think. They're not waterproof, but they're still pretty good in case of light rain. So yeah, great shoe. And finally, February 2025, the last shoes I bought. The Brooks Hyperion Max 2. Amazing shoes. I cannot stress it enough. Easy runs, long runs. I could probably race in these shoes. I use them every other day in the build-up to Copenhagen Marathon. It was a pretty fast build-up. I was on a waiting list and my name got thrown. So I just signed up 5 weeks before Copenhagen. But I was still a PB by a bunch of seconds. And after Copenhagen, I've got back to track sessions, and I use them on track quite a lot as well in the past few weeks. They're a bit heavier than the Hyperion Max 1, but they're still very responsive. They're like a fast trainer. No stability problem, no pain, they're just great shoes. Even for skinny runners like me, I think the Hyperion Max is a very good choice. If you only wanna get one pair of shoes because you don't want or you cannot get more than one pair, the Hyperion Max is gonna be your friend if you're preparing for a marathon or an ultra, I would dare to say. For racing, I would probably take them because I did a 40k long run in them. They're not as fast as a Adidas Pro 3 or as a Cloudboom Eco 3, but they're still pretty fast. They do have a plate and they have DNA Flash, which is the second fastest foam by Brooks. Why I said second fastest foam? Well, because there's also DNA Gold, a P-Box foam which Brooks came up with for the latest Brooks Hyperion Elite 4 PB. And the Elite 4 PB has this DNA Gold, which is a super foam and a carbon plate. Unfortunately, I cannot talk about this shoe because I never tried it. The problem is that the biggest number this shoe is available in is, guess what, a 47.5. So Brooks, if you're watching this video, just know that I'm a bit disappointed because you never made any race shoe for me. But in case you change your mind and you wanna come up with a 48 of any of your Hyperion Elite shoes, maybe the latest, you know where to find me. Hopefully there's gonna be some races. I already signed up for Copenhagen 2026. Because I have friends living there and it's such a beautiful city and the marathon is very well organized and fast as well. So if there is any PB attempt, it's gonna be in Copenhagen, unless I manage to finally get a bib for Berlin in 2025. That was the video, I hope you liked it. Let me know your favorite shoes, and until next time, for some running, filming or sleeping content. Yo!